everybody. My name is Alexander Creek, and in this video, we were going to talk about how to connect with your spirit guide. So I'm a professional intuitive, medium, channel, numerologist, getting into doing more professional astrology work now, as well as Reiki healing, which is a form of energy healing. And in my work, in my time doing this, I've been asked a lot about this question, and this is something I'm really excited to share with everybody, okay? So my personal philosophy first on anything intuitive is that everyone has access to intuitive ability, to quote unquote psychic stuff, okay? This is something that is part of your natural birthright as a human being, and psychic stuff and intuition and energy, all of this stuff is, it's part of your natural sort of skill set. But our modern society kind of teaches you to unlearn those things at a very early age and it really kind of discourages imagination and intuitive thinking and all this kind of stuff, as, you know, either you're making shit up or it's your imagination, and to really lean into your analytical, like ego kind of side, okay? So first of all, like everyone can do this, and get this thing out of your mind that says you can't and that only some people can, okay? If you're watching this video and you're interested in this topic, you definitely have the ability to connect with your spirit guide, okay? So what is a spirit guide? Okay, let's start there. So you and I, so myself and you, the viewer at home watching this video, so we are beings with a body, okay? So your soul, your essence, your inner being is not your physical body. Your soul and your inner being kind of pilots your body. It sort of like inhabits your body and animates this sort of meat suit that we're in, okay? But the true you is the spirit, okay, that dwells within. And your spirit is really, really actually a very huge energy, and quite often you really, you don't have conscious access to a lot of that energy, but just know that your soul, your inner being, is this infinitely powerful, loving being of love and light, okay? That's the true you, okay? So your spirit guide is a non-physical being, meaning that they are also a soul, you know, a being of love and light. They do not have a physical body, okay? So where they exist is somewhere on the astral plane or wherever the hell they are, basically. But what you need to know is that they do not have a physical body. This, your spirit guide, is a super wise, loving being that has a soul contract with you, or a soul contract is like a soul agreement between this being and you, basically, as to the terms of your relationship, okay? Like what your purpose is with each other, what they do for you, okay? We have many types of guides. I'm gonna get more into different types of spirit guides in another video, but I wanted to just kind of define the basic kind of spirit guide, okay? So your spirit guide basically is here to help you walk your path and live your life, okay? Oftentimes we have these sort of big overall life guides that we have with us from birth until death, okay? And sometimes these guides kind of specialize in different areas, like relationships or career, or you might have a guide that helps you just with like meditation and spirituality. You even probably have, let's say you're really into cooking, you're in the kitchen a lot, you might have a being that pops in occasionally to work with you literally on cooking, and it kind of whispers in your energy field like, hey, turn the heat down a little bit, or hey, add a little bit of butter, okay? Literally, that is a thing. So I definitely have one. I notice when I'll have like a thought kind of pop into my head that's not mine, that's like, maybe you should add a little bit of this, okay? So I know I have a relationship with that type of guide as well, okay? So we have lots and lots of guides, all right? But we're gonna kind of focus on our sort of most helpful guide at the moment, okay? So your spirit guide is someone, you know, is a being just like you that you have an ongoing relationship with, okay? So spirit guides also have incarnated in a body before. So they know what it's like to be in the human incarnation cycle. They usually, and I'm usually talking about a human incarnation cycle, but you might have a guide that's not necessarily incarnated on Earth. Long story, I'll get into that in another video. But just know that your guide knows what it's like to go through the human existence, which can be kind of, awful at times. It can be wonderful too, but we all know that being a human can suck sometimes. So they know what it's like. Versus an angel, where an angel doesn't have an incarnation cycle. They're sort of these perfect kind of fingers of God. They have never incarnated before. Whereas a spirit guide has incarnated in a body before, okay? So your spirit guide is really part of your kind of squad of beings that help you kind of live your life, that help you live your life's purpose, that help you smooth things out. Your guides want you to have, they want you to have a nice time. They don't want to see you struggle. They want to help you overcome obstacles. They want to help you do what it is you came to do and have really good relationships and a lot of fun along the way. Okay, so different guides have different personalities and different energies, just like you and me. I have seen guides range from like fairy guides, and fairy energy tends to feel really joyful and like they help with creativity and just like they can be kind of mischievous. I see them around people who are artists or who are really kind of connected to their inner child. I kind of will notice like fairy beings or fairy guides. I have noticed like the super, super serious, like almost like monk type guides that are very serious. One of my guides feels like this kind of like this, he has this big wizard beard. And he's very much connected to me and astrology and me and numerology and these universal symbols and helping me learn these things. And when I'm engaged in these subjects, I often feel a connection to an energy and intelligence that is sort of beyond Alex, that is beyond just me, and that is part of this sort of bigger energy. And I'll get these insights and ideas and downloads, you could say, things that just kind of pop into your awareness and you're like, where did that come from? That feels like it's not just from my brain. Chances are that you are connected with a guide in that moment. And quite often you are connected to your spirit guide a lot without realizing it. And no one is without a spirit guide. So plain and simple, no human being is born into this reality without lots of help because this planet is full of wonderful experiences, but it's also very challenging. And you did not incarnate here as like a brand new soul, in my opinion. People who come to Earth, people who incarnate on Earth are ready for some kind of challenge. So just know that as well, okay? So how do you connect to your spirit guide more? And actually, even before I get there, let's talk about why connecting to a spirit guide is helpful, okay? And why maybe you should want to connect to a spirit guide. Connecting to your spirit guide really just helps you make life easier. And, when I don't know the answer to something, or when I feel lost, or when I feel challenged, and, as an intuitive, sometimes people are like, oh my God, you have challenges? And I was like, yes, I'm also a human being. So I go through shit just like you do. So connecting to your guide really, they show you solutions to life's challenges and how to navigate life more smoothly, effectively, with more love and joy and fun. Okay, plain and simple. They're just here to help you out, okay? I remember meeting a spirit guide. I have a couple examples, actually. I'll just give you one for now. I might pop in with another one later. I was meditating, and I had simply asked to meet a new spirit guide, and I'm going to show you how to do this in just a moment here. And I was in my meditation space, and it was really vivid that day. Like, I was just feeling very connected. And out of like the corner of my eye, and my eyes were closed, this is my inner eye, but it felt like this being flew from behind me. like they were behind me my whole life is kind of what I felt like I was unaware of them, but they were behind me my whole life. And this like black, like dragon, like it looked like a dragon in like ancient China, like the way that they're sort of depicted in Chinese culture. This dragon kind of flew to the front of my my vision and introduced themselves as my protection guide. Like they are here to help protect me and help me basically make, like, you know, those moments where you're like, I really should not walk on that street right now if it's dark out, right? Or I really just want to go back and check on something in my apartment. I just have this feeling, and you discover that you've left the oven on. Something like that, okay? Or even protection from energies that, you know, don't have your highest good in mind, okay? That's what this being's basically job is. And after that, I've had readings where someone will say to me, do you know that you have a big dragon behind you? And I'm like, yes, I do know that, thank you. Without me prompting it, without me telling them that, okay? Which was a huge kind of validation for me. But your guide doesn't have to be like necessarily a human. It can look like an animal. It can look like an, you know, some sort of mystical creature. It can look like a big wizard. It can look like, you know, it can just be a blob of energy. It doesn't matter. The only thing I really need you to do is to simply accept and trust what you are feeling, okay? So let's talk about kind of the steps that you need to take to connect to your guide. And this is just one way to connect, but this is how I like to do it. So number one, you need to, when I take you through this process, like when you do this process yourself at home, the number one rule is to accept and trust the information when you get it, and to not doubt, because you may feel like you are just entirely making this shit up, okay? And that's something people go through a lot in any kind of intuitive field or intuitive art, is you feel like, I might be making this shit up, like it sounds kind of ridiculous. Your eyes don't necessarily roll back in your head and glow white and levitate, you know, like Storm or Jean Grey or something. So just know that it's gonna feel like it may not be this dramatic experience. It might be a very mystical, emotional, dramatic experience. It may also just feel like my guide's name is Alfred, and that's what it's like, right? And it may feel like you're, again, making it up. And I wanna just tell you to just accept it and don't doubt it, because your brain, your sort of ego self, which is, you know, the ego is a healthy part of our, you know, system. Not having an ego is silly, but I'm just gonna say that your analytical ego self is going to try to come in and immediately kind of squash what you got, saying like, nope, you're not doing it right. Nope, that's not, you're just making this up, okay? So just when that happens, just be like, oh, that's my brain doing its job, right? Like it's just trying to say like, you're not doing it correctly, or you're making shit up and that's not real, okay? I need you to just trust yourself that that information that you just received is real and it is for you, even if it seems ridiculous or doesn't make any sense at the moment, okay? So, accept and trust, all right? No matter, even if it sounds like you're making shit up. The next thing, always, I would write down your impressions of what you are getting, even if it's just on like the Notes app on your iPhone or whatever. Jot it down somewhere. Jot down what you are getting. Jot down what you are seeing, feeling, hearing, knowing, okay? We each really kind of come to Earth really kind of attuned to at least one psychic sense that we're naturally predisposed to. And like you may not, for example, okay, I tend to be predominantly clairvoyant, so I see a lot with my inner eye, and I have like a pretty vivid kind of visual imagination. And that's what helps fuel my clairvoyance. I've also developed clairaudience, which means that I I hear, basically. It's kind of like when I'm doing a mediumship reading, I'll start to hear spirit a lot. It's kind of in one ear. Like I have a psychic ear, sort of picks up information. I also, I just tend to know without knowing why I know it. It's like a sudden insight that kind of pops in my mind, okay? I also am clairsentient, which means I can kind of feel things in my body. But I have to say my clairsentience may be my least, like it's not the sense I use all the time. And also, I started out very clairvoyant kind of right away. Clairaudience took me some time to develop, okay? It wasn't something that I was just like gifted with right away. It just took some time to kind of kick on. It's been coming online over like the past 2 years, okay? So you may, when you are meeting your spirit guide, you may see things a lot. Like it may be easy for you to see. You may also be incredibly clairaudient at first and not clairvoyant whatsoever, okay? So you may hear things at first, right? I actually taught so I teach psychic development, and my mom was in my first class of students. And this class was primarily kind of geared toward developing your clairvoyance. And she wasn't seeing a lot, but she was hearing a lot. So when I'm like, okay, so like when they're reading each other in class, you're kind of reading each other's energy and practicing doing readings on each other. And instead of seeing a color, like I sort of asked, okay, like see a color for this person, she would just hear it. She would just hear yellow, like her guides were yelling at her. So just accept that your reading space, that your intuitive space is going to be different than anyone else. And then it's very unique to you, okay? So clairvoyant, seeing with your inner eye, clairaudient, hearing, or it's kind of like telepathic information as well, kind of just getting a word and kind of hearing it in your mind. And again, it's going to be a wise, loving, energy that isn't your own. It's not like you're hearing your own voice. Claircognizance, which is kind of like knowing things without knowing why you know it, just kind of being tapped into that energy. And that has to do with the crown chakra, which is right above the head. And then also you have clairsentience, which is feeling things in your body, okay? So like a lot of people are clairsentient nowadays, like the word empath. If you're considering yourself an empath, you're probably clairsentient, where you can feel other people's energy, feel energy in your body when you walk into a room, those gut feelings, those kind of yes, no gut feelings. You might even be feeling in your body when someone else is sick, that, like around you, like a loved one, you're like, oh, I feel something in my throat. That's kind of evidence of clairsentience, okay? It's really kind of your overall kind of vibes that you feel in your body is kind of how I describe clairsentience. So where are we at? Okay. So let's talk about the process of actually meeting your spirit guide for the first time, okay? Or, consciously meeting them, because you know them on a soul level already, okay? So the first thing you want to do is ground and center your energy. Does not have to be an elaborate process, but when you meet a guide, when you channel, when you do any kind of energy work or intuitive work, it's really important that you are really in your body, really grounded. You don't have to leave your body and float off into space to do anything psychic or intuitive. It's actually best that you stay in your body because you can trust the information more and it's more accurate, frankly, and it's easier, okay? I think people used to do that a lot, in the past, but really what the energy is now is like stay in your body, get heart-centered, and don't fuss with it too much, okay? I'm going to put a grounding meditation in the comments that I've made. There's 2 of them that are pretty popular. The grounding in golden suns, always a good way to do it. And then there's also another full moon one that you might want to do that's a little bit more elaborate. It doesn't have to be done on a full moon. You can just do it anytime. But really what this does is let go of any like busy, anxious energy in your body or any energy that you're carrying around that's not you, particularly if you're a sensitive person, because we're picking up other people's energy all the fucking time. So this just grounding and centering is really just going to kind of help prepare your mind to receive information. You can also just do this on your own. You can just take a couple deep cleansing breaths. Imagine connecting to Mother Earth. I always imagine connecting tree roots to Mother Earth, kind of either from my feet or from my tailbone. or connecting via like a really big grounding cord, just connecting my energy and making my body and spirit feel nice and safe and grounded and centered in the moment. You can also ground by going outside, like putting your feet on the grass, hearing the birds, that kind of thing. Being outside is just a really good way for you to ground in general. But either way, ground and center yourself, okay? Just take a couple deep breaths, take a couple minutes to kind of clear your mind and relax. Don't stress out about this stuff too much though. If you're like, I'm trying to relax, but I don't feel relaxed, just go with it, okay? The number one thing I would say though is you don't want to try to connect to your guides, at least at first, if you're feeling very emotional or if you're feeling really stressed. Like if you're in a very kind of high stress kind of moment if you're really emotional about something, because it's kind of best, I think, when to connect to spirit when you're more relaxed and a neutral state, okay? Just easier for you to get the information. Because when you're emotional, your vibration, it's just not as conducive. It's not as helpful as it would be to just be really neutral, because when you're relaxed, your energy is more willing to kind of interpret and accept this information that's coming in, okay? If that makes sense. But anyway, ground and center, okay? Link below for those meditations. The next thing I like to do is just to simply state your intention. Set your intention to the universe that what it is that you are trying to accomplish. So you could say something like, I ask to connect to my highest, most loving spirit guides, okay? Or whatever. Just make up your own intention, but use something like that. I like to state it out loud to just tell the universe, like, this is my intention. These are the energies that I'm going to connect to. And then I like to just ask for a little kind of protection. I ask for protection and only allow the divine energies into my space at this moment. Okay. And then boop, you can open up. So I just like to state, like, I'm only connecting to the divine. I'm not connecting with any kind of other energies that might try to trip me up or like say they're my spirit guide, but not. Okay. But when you say your intention that you're going to connect only to the divine, you can trust whatever comes in. And the energies, when you do connect to a spirit guide, when you connect to spirit in general, always go within and feel within your heart and within your body if the information that you're getting is loving. If it is loving, if it is wise, is it helpful? You shouldn't just automatically trust like whatever you get. You kind of want to really feel within yourself if this is of the light, okay? Discernment is so important right now. And I'm not saying that like things are gonna try to trick you or whatever, because that's never really been the case for me. Because when I connect to my guides and I ask to connect to my guides and angels, etc., and I open up to that, the energy that comes in is my guides, 100%. It's helpful, it's wise, it's loving. But I just like to state that and to always check within, okay? And when you do connect to your guides, you don't necessarily have to agree with the information you're getting, because you're the boss, okay? They aren't the boss of you. You're kind of the boss of them in a way, like, or rather you're in a partnership, okay? You're not always gonna agree with your partner, even if they turn out to be right most of the time. I've definitely, gotten information from my guides that I haven't understood at the moment. When they're like, when I'm asking for advice about something and they're like, oh, do this. And I was like, doesn't seem right. Most of the time it turns out to be right, but you need to know that you are the boss, you are the master of your own existence, and that your guides are kind of like if you are the CEO, they kind of work for you basically in a way. Okay. So, but your guides have your best interests at heart, and generally, they are wise and helpful beings that are here to help you with your life's path. So just know that. But also know that, you don't need to do everything that a non-physical being says. So, okay. So once you set your intention, like I connect to the light, this is when the process can officially begin. So this is when how I do it is I close my eyes. Take a couple deep cleansing breaths. And then I like to imagine a platform in front of me. This can be like a marble platform or a cloud, but something that you can sort of see in your imagination, in your inner eye, okay? And then this is when ask your spirit guide to step onto this platform, to appear on this platform, okay? And you may see your guide all at once, like you may see this form, this being. You may only see their feet, you may only see their face, you may only see part of them, you may not see anything at all. You might feel like a warmth in your body, you might have a knowing, but when you close your eyes, ask your being to step onto this platform, that's sort of like officially kind of initiating that connection with that being, okay? So this is when you want to ask your being, ask this guide their name. You may only get a letter, you may get a really long name that doesn't really make sense, but just take note or write it down anyway. You know, ask your guide what they're here to do for you. You know, note, like, is it like a fairy? Does it look like an old woman? Does it look kind of like an alien? Is it a dragon, right? Just simply accept and trust what you see, and accept and trust that you are a channel, that you can access your guide's information, okay? But it really is kind of easier than I think people think. But simply notice what you notice, see what you see, hear what you hear, and then also ask, you know, how they work with you, okay? You might get information on how they can work with you better, how to call them in better, okay? And this is when you want to start asking for messages and information. You have a question for them, like, hey, I'm kind of floundering in my life, or my job sucks, I hate it, what do I do? Okay, they might give you information, and it may not be like a complete sentence, like a back and forth conversation with someone. Your guides and really non-physical beings communicate to you through thought form. So it's not that they're, you know, talking to you like you and I talk, like with words that we make with our voice boxes and our mouths. They speak with thought form. So when you ask your guide for information, you may see a picture that may pop into your mind. You may hear a word, or even a full-on sentence, actually. You may feel, you may know, okay? But after you initially connect with your guide, you know, when you're done, when you feel like you're done talking to them, you know, say thank you, and then kind of send them on their merry way. You may want to kind of close down a little bit, just kind of imagine like, okay, I'm done being psychic now, and just imagine kind of closing up your energy a little bit. But really kind of once you meet your guide, this is when you can really start talking to your guide all the time. You know, when you're washing dishes, you may want to ask your guide a question, and you may not get an answer right away, okay? But you might be washing dishes and your mind might go somewhere, then all of a sudden a thought pops into your mind, like a really good idea or a picture, or again, you might hear something, or you might all of a sudden have a sudden knowing. This is your guide, okay? This is you communicating with your guide. And this is something that you need to nurture into like an ongoing relationship, okay? You may also want to journal and, you know, again, set your intention that you're going to connect to this higher source, to your guide. Write a question in your journal, and then imagine your guide giving you the answer. Like, it's like you're channeling. So this is considered like maybe automatic writing, or just kind of channeling the answer through writing. You may also want to connect to your guide through, you know, oracle cards or through tarot, you know, to ask your guide to come in when you're doing a tarot reading or an oracle reading, to just pull cards for yourself to get wisdom and insight into your life. When I work with my guides, I really don't ask like each individual one. I kind of just ask all of my guides and my higher self and the divine. And I tend to just get like one kind of answer, okay? But working with your guides is a really fun way to start playing with spirit, to start playing with your higher self, to getting yourself onto an easier path for your life, and can really be quite transformative. But the number one rules are, of course, ground and center, ask, receive, and trust the information that you get, okay? And to remember that the information that you're getting may sound like, again, like you're making shit up, okay? And of course, it might be a really vivid experience, or it may not. It may just be a very kind of like, I think it's a fairy, but I'm not sure. I don't know. It seems like my imagination. It's not your imagination, okay? So anyway, I hope you found this video helpful on how to connect with your spirit guide. Again, check out my grounding meditation below to kind of get you into that place. To book a session with me, if you want me to talk to your spirit guides for you, I certainly will. Go ahead and just check out my offerings below. I would love to hear from you. Again, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And lastly, maybe sign up for my newsletter. I do send out astrology, numerology, horoscopes every month for free. So, bye guys. See you next time.